getting
All right,
started on
Jeremy.
that.
What story kind of like? What were you feeling today?
So the story that interests me the most, and it's probably because I feel somewhat burned by it, is the Warzone hits 50 million players. What does that mean for battle royales, and what kind of indictment is that on PUBG? So we've seen that Warzone hits 50 million, right? There was a big announcement when Apex Legends hit 50 million, and obviously Fortnite like crushed it as far as numbers. At one point, it had like I don't know, it's like 200 or something million accounts total that was made. But latest play numbers from PUBG, at least on Steam, shows that it's not even cracking 250,000 as far as active players. I think for battle royales, right? PUBG kind of authored or grandfathered in. There were other things like there's like Daisy and different stuff like that, but PUBG is really what's the major thing that kind of shot this whole genre of game into the stratosphere and into the zeitgeist. And the idea that these other games, of course, you're going to have innovation, right? You're going to have different things that happens. Like for Apex Legends, it was the ping system. So now everyone's copying the ping system, right? But for PUBG to not be able to retain anywhere near a player base that it once had when it was in early access, like when it was in early access and absolutely terrible. And even when it was in early access, you still had to pay $30 to get access to it, right?
Yes.
It was way more popular. Then it continues development. It gets a 1.0 release. It releases on the Xbox. You get 4 or 5 million sales on the Xbox, right? So you have more sales on PC. You have more sales on Xbox, and your daily player base continues to just fall off a cliff. I've always had, as someone who bought PUBG when it came on Xbox, and regretted the purchase immediately because of the technical issues, right? I think that was the main thing that kind of hindered it, is that you had other companies not only innovating in regards to game systems, but also making games that just played better. Like, I remember playing PUBG when PUBG first really hit the Xbox around the same time Call of Duty 4 Black Ops, right? Had came out, and it had its battle royale, right? It just did the battle royale and the multiplayer. And I remember playing that, playing that, and it being so much of a better experience. Everything being smoother, being able to do things and not feel like you're being hindered by the net code or the technical aspects of the game. And it's like, oh, okay, this is what a great experience is. Or playing something like Fortnite. Yeah, Fortnite, it's more kiddie cartoonish, but the gameplay was way smoother. And it's like, yeah, I understand that Call of Duty has Activision and that, Apex Legends has Respawn and EA and different stuff like that. These are bigger developers, bigger publishers. But I mean, PUBG made so much money. And if you look at other indie developers that may have had hits like that, they've been able to improve their games and make them better. PUBG made a crap ton of money. And there's no way you can tell me that with it becoming an exclusive release on Xbox, that Microsoft didn't hand them a suitcase of cash on that one too.
Right.
So they had the resources to make the game better technically. And I think if they did that, the game would probably be in a better spot. So the game had something going because the genre of battle royales has grown, but PUBG is falling in the wayside because the actual company and the actual product itself, they focused more on monetization and everything else instead of making the game better. So that was kind of my takeaway from it. But what do you guys think of that?
I agree.
Go ahead, David. Sorry.
I agree with the whole PUBG everything. And then, like with the Apex, they have the different heroes that do different things,
right?
Which is cool because PUBG is you're just whatever your character looks like, and you're gonna go find guns and armor.
Right.
It's the same thing over and over. And like I put 800 hours into PUBG, and
we're sorry.
It was great when it was out. I mean, I put that much hours when that was like the only one out there.
Right.
But then like Apex, I just loved Apex because the diversity. And then with Warzone, that has such a huge following just because it's Call of Duty. You put that name on something, people are gonna buy it.
Right.
Have you guys played Warzone at all?
Yeah, I've put probably 10, 15 hours into it.
How do you like it?
I haven't played it.
I enjoy it. The system to pick stuff up is a lot easier than it like was in PUBG. I like the whole gulag experience. If you die, you have a chance to come back, and even if you don't win your fight, your team can buy you back. And I think it's just like Jeremy was saying, it's just more innovated, and since they have a bigger publisher, it's written better, and I think Warzone is definitely going to hit 100 million players sometime soon.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I guess in terms of PUBG, it's the old guard. You know, it came out pretty much first. Everyone else innovated on it. It's going to have its loyal fan base, and that's going to stick around, I think, for a long time. I was looking up some stuff yesterday. It's still the third most played game on Steam. Now, I'm assuming it was by far away the first number one played game on Steam, but it's still number 3. So that tells me it still has its player base to some extent. But as all these games come out, everyone's going to lose a little piece of that pie. You know, Fortnite has lost a piece of that pie because of Apex and Warzone. But it's just kind of which one you feel like. You know, PUBG is, I guess it's a realistic military shooter, right? Which Fortnite is not at all.
Right.
So it's going to have the fans of that kind of genre. Now, with Warzone coming out, it's also realistic. So we'll see the further along it goes how much that takes away. But Activision isn't the greatest company either. You know, they could easily release another Battle Royale in a year or so and take away all of Warzone and try to, you know, I don't know, because they've already done it with Black Ops 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they are impressive numbers. You know, you said 50 million players. Apex had 50 million around the same time. At the end of the day, I think Fortnite's still king, though.
Yeah.
200, like you were right, 250 million, you know, users on there.
Right.
Not at the same time, but it's king.
Yeah, total users. Yeah, and just with Apex and Warzone they both hit 50 million players within a month.
Right.
I think that's like kind of the most impressive thing. With the I know PUBG still gets good numbers on Steam. There's still definitely like full on hardcore fan base to that game. And by the way, I don't think it was ever number one. I think the number one game on Steam has always been Dota. I think
really?
It's been.
Okay,
yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, strangely enough. Yeah. It might have been at one point, but I mean, when you're talking about like David, you put 800 hours into that. Was it during the early access period of the game?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when it was like the most hot and most into the zeitgeist kind of.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because like now it has the seasons and stuff, and I haven't played a single season in PUBG.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, meanwhile, I have like my cousin. He's probably put I don't know how many hundreds of hours in the Apex, right? And he just loves that game and plays it, and I can see why. It's again the different characters, different strategies. You know, they add different stuff all the time too, and again, it just plays better. It has developed by Respawn, so it has great tight gunplay and everything like that. Yes, I mean I get that there, but I don't know, PUBG, man. I feel like there were some decisions they've made that really compromised how much more of the market share they could have. You know, so I think, you know, they're still crushing it. By no way, you know, this isn't a PUBG is dead thing, but this is more like a PUBG is a fraction of what it possibly could or should have been. I think.
Okay.
More so, yeah.
All right. Before we move on, out of those, which one do you think is king, or will be continuing to stay on top? You know, say 2, 3, 4 years from now.
Out of which ones?
Apex, Warzone, Fortnite, PUBG. And if I'm missing one, you can throw it in. Realm Royale.
I think 3-4 years from now, it's going to be Fortnite still.
Okay.
Part of that discussion David had with the Fortnite Travis Scott thing, I think is one part of it, is that Fortnite has like, I don't know, you hear this all the time, but Fortnite has the culture. Like it gets it. Everything else is just a game. But Fortnite gets it. And also, Epic has sold its soul to Fortnite. So Epic needs Fortnite to be what it is in order to maintain profitability. Because Lord knows when they'll create another game.
Right.
You know, where I'm assuming Warzone, like you said, Activision, they're going to find some way to screw that up. Apex Legends with EA, they're going to find some way to screw that up. And Respawn is busy making other games. They made a pretty good Star Wars game while also working and developing and you know, supporting that. I see PUBG just eventually fading away. Not entirely, but more so even now because people are going to play those other games. And then you can't forget there's also a bunch of indie developers that have like these indie battle royales that a lot of people like too, and they offer different types of ideas and activities and innovations on the concept. So yeah, but I think Fortnite's going to be around. Fortnite is going to be the Minecraft of battle royales. It's just going to always be around.